Welcome back. You're watching Court TV. I'm Ted Rowland's Doomsday Cult Mom. Lori Vallow is headed back to Idaho on Wednesday. A judge in Hawaii refused to reduce her bail, which is set at $5 million. Vallow, after that decision, waived her extradition hearing, which was scheduled for March 2nd. Vallow was arrested last week on the island of Kauai, where she's been living with her husband, Chad Daybell. Vallow, who actually used the name Daybell in yesterday's hearing, is charged with 2 felony counts of child abandonment in Idaho. Her attorney says she plans to fight those charges. Authorities are still searching for Vallow's children. 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan have not been seen since September. Still with me, criminal defense attorneys Rachel Kaufman and Jasmine Barber. Jasmine, this case has infuriated so many people, whether she is under the trance of this husband of hers, Mr. Daybell, who is one of these people that believes the end of the world is coming, and he's written a couple books, or if she has something else going on. It's a very frustrating situation for investigators. Do you think the strategy from Idaho, charging her, getting her back, in essentially separating her from her husband, will work out? Or, she does have a lawyer, do you think this is just really going to be a process where no matter what they do, they're not going to get anything out of her?
It's obviously going to be a little bit hard to tell. Maybe her husband is telling her that she shouldn't talk. Her attorney is certainly telling her you should not talk. Don't talk on the jail phone. Don't talk to any of the people in the jail. Don't talk to anybody. Preserve your right to remain silent. But obviously the hope is that maybe there's a position shift here where the lawyer can negotiate on her behalf and say, hey, where are the kids? And then maybe we can work something out as far as sentencing on the child abandonment charges.
This is one of those cases where everybody deserves legal representation, absolutely. And as a lawyer, a defense attorney, you have to provide the best representation you can. But lawyers are human beings, believe it or not. And there are 2 children that are missing in this case. If they're dead, then of course that takes on a whole nother situation in terms of what you would do as a lawyer. But if you, Rachel, were representing her, how would you handle trying to get to the answer? Because if there is a 7-year-old out there that is in danger, you'd want to help out, right? You'd want to get to the answers here. How do you handle that as a lawyer representing this client who's not cooperating?
Well, I think you asked the question, are your children alive and do you know where they are? If they are alive and you know where they are, then we do talk. And then you get out of jail.
Yeah. So it
kind of works like that. My guess is that they've had that conversation, and now her best strategy is to keep her mouth shut, because everything she's going to say will incriminate her. And like I said previously, I mean, there are going to be jail calls. She's going to be talking. I cannot imagine her sitting there and not getting on the phone with the person that has been influencing her for so long. She's going to need to hear from him. But that stuff's recorded, and maybe that's where we'll get a snippet of the truth.
Chad Daybell, you think, is going to be on the horn?
I think he'll try to control her, because I think that he also knows what happened.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be some sort of conversation between the 2 of them.
And Jasmine, there is some evidence in this case. There's some surveillance video of her dragging some heavy objects into a storage facility, and then old Daybell there shows up later and helps take stuff out. It appears to be very heavy items, and the theory is that maybe it's the bodies, maybe of one or both of the children. There's also searches that are planned in Yellowstone once the winter snow is gone, and the ground is able to be searched. Having these 2 things going on. And also you add to the factor that so many people are concerned, like across the world that have followed the story. So many people are concerned and angry at this. As a defense attorney, is there anything you can do to help her separate from Chad Daybell too? Because I would think it would be in her interest to separate from this person that has an absolutely massive influence over her.
As a defense attorney, I think that I would advise my client that she needs to be focused on herself and herself only. At this point in time, she's the only one who's charged. He could very easily become a witness against her. He could very easily become her co-conspirator. And so at this point in time, I'm representing you. We're worried about you, and I need you to focus in on just that.
But could be difficult to get to a client like that who's under this potentially spell. Because if you talk to her relatives, they're saying this is a different woman.
Yeah, she's
this
changed.
is not the same person.
She needs to be evaluated psychologically. I think that's maybe the other potential strategy for her. Because she's not coming off very sympathetic. People are very angry with her. You know, the press coming up to her, where are your kids? And she's turning her nose up, like they're asking her if she liked the food that she had for lunch. These are your missing children.
Right. So instead of having this strategy, which her defense attorneys seem to have in Hawaii, and it may change once they get to Idaho, of we're going to fight this. She's completely innocent. She's completely innocent.
It's not
Come
always.
on.
It's that
She's not completely innocent of behavior-wise. I mean, let's face it. That might change, that strategy, and should it change?
Strategies are living and breathing things. Every fact that you take in or every piece of new information that you get, you have to make an adjustment to your legal strategy, because the strategy has to encompass everything: the good facts, the bad facts, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so it's a living and breathing thing.
All right. Well, this case has a lot of people just absolutely sick because the idea that these kids could be alive, or even worse, might not be alive. It's just horrifying. Thank you both.